Well, a Valley family had an unusual visitor when a pilot had to use their street for a runway. It all happened late last night near 32nd Street in Greenway. The pilot of this light engine plane was headed back to Falcon Field when the engine somehow lost power. Luckily, there was no traffic on 32nd Street, so the pilot made a quick and quiet touchdown near one woman's home.
Came out here and I opened the door and there's like this plane in my yard. He did an excellent job as far as I'm concerned.
The pilot and his passenger were not hurt in the accident, but the plane did have to be towed. 6 weeks ago, their parents disappeared without a trace. Now a Valley family is stepping up efforts to find them. Richard and Laura Ann Myers.
A pilot makes an emergency landing but doesn't make it to the airport. He lands in the middle of the street. Good evening, everyone. I'm Linda Williams.
And I'm Troy Hayden. Thanks a lot for being here. It's really an amazing landing. The pilot deserves a lot of credit for bringing down his plane and making sure that nobody is hurt in the process. Just take a look at where his wheels end up. One's on the road, the other up on the sidewalk. Neighbors are pretty shaken up. They ask, how did this happen? And for answers, we go to Steve Kraft, and he has today's big story.
Troy, the only indication something unusual here happened last night is, as you can see, the remnants of these flares that are still on the pavement in this street near 32nd and Broadway. Other than that, the cars are parked where they ought to be parked. But amazingly, a plane landed right behind me on 32nd Street last night, taxied around the corner and came to a stop right here, taxied to a stop right here. And jaws around the neighborhood dropped.
Incredible flying. Can't believe he pulled it off. Thank God everyone was okay.
That's what witnesses have to say about this little Cessna 152. It made a highly unscheduled landing on 32nd Street.
Well, I was driving with my friend, and I was going south on 32nd Street, and I just saw the lights of the plane totally sideways, and it was curving right onto 32nd Street, and I pulled right into the suicide lane.
It pulled up, and it went over the power lines. I must have noticed at the last second there were power lines. Then it turned onto 32nd Street, going directly with it, and we slammed on the brakes so it wouldn't land right on our hood. But it was pretty close.
The pilot, Ron Douglas, who's from here in the Valley, was flying with a woman from Falcon Field in Mesa to Deer Valley Airport. Neither would go on camera. The pilot guesses he lost his gas cap in flight due to turbulence. He lost fuel and his engine began sputtering. It could have been tragic.
It made an awesome landing. I mean, it was just pro job.
Boy, isn't that something? You know, it's a fortunate thing, Troy, that this happened over city streets, because a couple days ago, a pilot was flying up to Prescott, same guy, and had this emergency happened over the mountains on the way to Prescott, could have been really disastrous.
Yeah, not too many streets up there, Stephen. It's amazing when I look behind you, I can see those huge power lines. Are those the lines he had to get over when he landed?
Yeah, well, actually, he had to sort of go next to those lines, kind of orient himself, and then fly in along those lines and not tip them with the wing, which would, of course, cartwheel the plane and cause a real disaster. But right now, the FAA is looking into this, as is the National Transportation Safety Board. They're not in the offices today. We tried to reach them, but they will be working on this at the beginning of the week.
Yeah, skilled and lucky pilot, Steve.
You bet.
Thanks.
A man